So this is for specifically anyone who looks like me. Anybody can watch, but this is this is why I use this doll all the time. The people pleaser, the nice girl, the pick me basically, but it's just so happy. This is a violent person. She's violent. That's what I'm trying to talk. So I'm kind of gonna be all over the place because I don't even know where to start. But one thing that we, other than not doing this, we're not doing this. This didn't work. This is performative. This is, let's go spend a ton of money to spend it, be at hotels, wear our cute little hat, put it on Instagram, and then stop working. This is why we were made fun of for this. It didn't work. So let's stop doing that. Stop doing that. I'm not saying that that was a complete waste of time. It wasn't a moment in history, blah, blah, blah. But this is why we get criticized so much. White women, when we do performative things. We want to be like, we want to be her. We want to be liked. We want to be good. But we're also very impatient, and we don't know how to, we don't know how to build community. We're terrified of each other. We know how violent we can be, and we're terrified of each other. And so we don't trust each other. I'm making huge, broad strokes right now, a lot of generalizations, but there's truth to it. There's some truth to it for all of us. And right now, I'm seeing a lot of white women in my comments either asking about this or doing. We are lost. We're lost right now. And the reason why is because we care way too much about being liked. Even if it means we are not our authentic self, even if it means that we betray our moral compass, even if it means that we literally put in power somebody and a whole team of somebodies who is going to possibly ruin the world, because I don't think Americans understand how much this man, that our country impacts the entire world. I don't think white ones especially, or maybe know and don't care, but this is bad for literally everybody. Everyone is so mad at us. And a lot of white women right now, even if you voted for Kamala, even if you did what you should have done, right, what we were asked to do, and even if you didn't do a protest vote and are like, I'm gonna teach them a lesson vote, and only, like as if that, like that we, like I said, that's why I did that whole video on women's suffrage and our, and how we have a long history of finding a reason to not do what we're asked to do, of citing or enabling somehow, even by not voting at all, white men, right? We found a reason. Yeah, every time I talked about Kamala, somebody was like, you endorse genocide. I'm like, no, God, don't you understand? So we did this, and now we have to sit with it. And it's really uncomfortable because people are mad at us, and they have every right to be mad at us. We have to take it, we have to sit with it, and it's really uncomfortable because we are her, and but I'm gonna buy a bracelet. I just found out about it last night, these bracelets. And I know it, like, if you're new to this kind of work, of course you want everybody to know that you voted for Kamala. But that is literally, I'm wearing this hat, right? Y'all, like, I wear my hats, right? And I have the bear hat. And like white women especially love that bear hat, because when I'm talking about men, they're like, yeah, they're the bear. I'd rather be, with a bear than any man, because we don't know who's the bear and who's not. We are the bear, right? And White Woman Whisper made a viral video about this, and she was forced off, like got demonetized on TikTok. White women did that when she literally just like, she does this for a living. She holds white women's hands and tells us the truth that we don't want to hear. And she does it in such an empathetic, compassionate way. I don't know how I mean, and we make her cry on a regular basis because women, instead of doing, what she asks is like, sit with it instead of being defensive, and instead of, whatever, like needing to be her, sit with it, get uncomfortable being complicit. And we ask men to do this every day, to not, and this is literally like wearing this blue friendship. Someone's profiting off of being like, I'm not one of them. How does anybody know? Do you have proof who you voted for? I do. I could pull it out right now. But even if I have proof, because I faxed my vote in from France, like we can do that. I don't know why every American can't do that, but I faxed mine in online. It was counted. I have it. But most people, like, that doesn't matter. Maybe I voted, but then maybe I sent money to, you know what I mean? They can't trust us, and they have no reason to. And I'm sorry that we are getting anyone who didn't disappoint them is getting lumped in with all the bad ones, as if there's good and bad. That's why I talk about this a lot. There is no good or bad. There's no binary. You're not a good one. You're not a bad. I mean, I'm not saying that here's the thing. I am very angry right now too. I am so angry at white women, at us, but I'm not going to say it's them, not me. Because sorry, as much as, because whenever men do this to us and put not all men in my comments constantly, I'm like, I know that, bro. I know that it's not all men are out there unaliving women. I know that. I'm not dumb, We we have to, this is why, the reason why I understand patriarchy so much better now is because I see the parallels between patriarchy and white supremacy culture, and they are so similar. They may operate a little differently sometimes. The details may be different, but it's the same themes. It's the same gaslighting. It's the same kind of, that they're so similar that it's easy to see. And every time a man is like, but I don't do that, it's so annoying, because I'm like, yeah, but even if you don't do that and you've never done that and would never do that, although would you? Maybe. You benefit from it. You benefit from other people doing it because, one, you look good by proxy. So, and I say this, men need bad men out there, because that's how all these men are getting away with doing nothing. That's why women are married to men, weaponize incompetence, just literally don't even take care of them, do nothing. And women, at least he doesn't do what those men do. As if that's good enough, And these men depend on men being worse than them to be able to have the bar so low. And so white women, we benefit from having, even if we don't know it, we benefit because we get to be good by comparison. Oh, I voted for Kamala, so I'm better than all you. But I can continue to just not do anything and still wear my little bracelet, or the, what was it? Delusional influencer. I think she was the one who mentioned the little safety pin in 2016. Remember that? I totally forgot about that. But some women were like, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. How does anyone know? How does anybody know? Do you know how many men that I worked with in the outdoor industry who were, feminists and progressive, or in like especially these hippie men? And especially here in France, I had my rose-colored glasses on, thinking that the French men are, and maybe they're not violent as outright violent, although they are absolutely violent. Maybe they're just these soft, tender Frenchy, and they're passionate, and they're quirky, and they're goofy, and they wear scarves, so they can't be as dangerous as those men. Well, joke's on me. Joke's on me. Because even the sweetest, most perfect husband, well, over here, will drug your wife and have 100 men grape you over 10 years. And then also, molesting your children. It's not a purity test. That's what we do, but it's not. That's why if you follow, start to follow and don't talk. Just listen. Just listen. I mean, Portia Noir is another person to follow. Get your, your journal. I don't have, get a pen and a journal, and every time you want to fight back and she starts talking, put it in your journal. People are tired of hearing about it from us. But I didn't. But I did this. We like, image management is such a big part of whiteness, but especially for white women, we have to be good. And there's a long history in this. I'm going to show you in a minute. This is a history lesson too. Remember that I brought up this list the other day? Before I go into this list, imagine how insulted you would be if men made hats that said, "I'm not a bear," or buttons or bracelets that said, "Not all men." And they wore those around, and they're like, you'd be like, stop. In fact, that would make me trust a man less if he was like, "I didn't. It wasn't me." Do you know how many men I worked with in the outdoors who were just, hippie, blah. They're into yoga, they have long hair, they're soft spoken. And working with those men was a nightmare. Because they gaslit more than the most misogynistic men were never gaslighting me as much as the hippie men who I thought who would use our language, our feminism language, to then try to say, well, it's not, right? It was so annoying. Or some of them, the comedy world. There's this dude who got Me Too'd back in 2017 in the comedy world that was one of the good ones, and he was like, oh God, and he had so many allegations because women thought he was safe. So one of the things I've accepted a long time ago, and I hate it, but I accept it, is that I do not deserve trust and respect from any person of color, but especially Black women. We have failed them so many times. That doesn't mean I'm expected to be perfect. It doesn't mean, but like the same way men need to understand, I don't trust you until you've proven that you're trustworthy, and I'm always going to have an eye on you. That we need to accept that. We have to accept that. We have to. But trying to pretend that we are, how is anybody supposed to know that we are not the bear? Anyway, this green thing is getting annoying. So let's go over this again. Perfectionism. Remember? She loves perfection. Sense of urgency. The day after the election, if you were just like, but it's not me, right? There we go. Boom. That's why I didn't make a video for the public the next day, because I was like, oh my God. I feel like I didn't trust myself. Even now, I'm not sure if I should be making videos, to be honest. The only reason I'm making this now is because I feel I keep seeing women doing this in my comments, and I'm like, if you're doing this in my comments, you're probably doing this on Black women's comments too. So I want you to understand, don't do this. Don't do this. I know it's your nervous system and maybe your trauma from your mom or big daddy, dads that we're all afraid of. Most of us are terrified of our fathers. So of course, we survived them. Of course, we're not that afraid of Trump. We've lived in a house with that man. But if you've actually been working on any of your personal issues with the men in your life that have terrified you, maybe you would be a lot more afraid of him, and should be. That's why I'm telling you, when I really worked on the stuff around my dad, I became a much safer person because I stopped enabling men, especially, as much. Defensiveness. Where are most white women right now? But it wasn't me. How does anybody know? I wouldn't be surprised if there's a white woman out there right now creating like ballots to prove then they want to like be, it was, that's just, like, seriously. That's seriously like men just being like, see, putting up their records, being like, see, there's been no restraining orders against me. That doesn't mean that you're not terrifying to live with. That doesn't mean that you're not like killing her slowly through her nervous system with your moods. Like, I'm not trying to be like, you're good or you're bad. I am saying everybody has both in us. This is all gray. There's no black and white, but especially in this moment right now, where people are so terrified and they're so rightfully angry at us, we gotta just sit with it. We have to. I remember the morning after the election, I'm like, if I have lost friends over this, not because of who I voted for, but just because of tired of dealing with white women, I would hate that, but I would understand it. The same way a lot of women are like, I'm not messing with men at all anymore. I'm not dating them. I'm not talking to them. This is what white women, doesn't feel good, does it? I'm not saying don't cut men out, but I'm just saying our refusal to really sit with regardless of us being individuals, that individualistic mindset, we are still part of a very, very violent group with a very violent past and a very violent present and a very violent future. Which is all the more reason why get on board with this. You're not going to heal all this stuff today. It's going to take some time. This is a daily thing. I have so much work to do. Still. Will always. I have no doubt that I will still be undoing this stuff and building new until I die. It's part of life too, right? Quantity over quality. And that goes back to her. Wants to be liked by everybody, but is trusted by nobody. I don't want that. I would rather have 5 really close friends than 500 where I'm just, hey, oh my God, everyone likes me. I've lost so many followers just for making the last few videos. Sorry, I don't care. I don't want you in my space if you're so angry with me and are going to be making my entire page unsafe for everybody. Like, I don't know. I don't need followers. I would grow so much faster if I let hatred on my page. Believe me, the algorithm loves, I would have like probably 100,000 followers on YouTube by now if I played that game, but I don't want the quantity. I want the quality. So if you are here to sit with hard emotions and hear things you may not want to hear, I'm talking to white women right now. So many women, I have to delete these messages all the time. How do you bring race into everything? Everything's not about white supremacy. There was racism before America. Like, I hear it all. I hear it all the time. And I'm like, I know how you're feeling right now. This is her being like, but can't we just focus on men? No, clearly we can't. Worship of the written word. It's really easy to worship the written word when your color of people wrote it all. Anyway, only one right way. Most of this comes down to this binary way of thinking, which is, again, I'm going to also bring up how this is literally in this whole, this anti transphobia plays into all this, but maybe I need a whole video for that, because this is why I don't allow any of that on my page too. Paternalism, we have a big history with that. We are the mothers of the world. Well, it's probably because a lot of us had mothers we were terrified of. So for us to be unsafe, violent, terrifying mother, that checks out. Either or thinking, there we go. Yeah, I'm either a good one or a bad one, instead of, you know what, I am both. Power hoarding, well, that's self-evident. Fear of open conflict. We hate this one. This is why we have that silent violence happening in our home. I've talked about this. I talk about it in my movie reviews. I talk about it in like all the time. I've been weaving this stuff into my work, but apparently I just need to have a whole video or a few or many of like what I'm talking about. What was it? Revolutionary Road? I talked about it a lot in that video. If you haven't seen that movie review, whenever I talk about the South and white women in the South and the fear of open conflict, this is what I mean. This is what like that I hated about that region is like so many white women will never badmouth you to your face. They'll be, that's how bless your heart is like the most violent thing a woman can say to you. If a white woman says, bless your heart, that means she's morally superior to you. She hates you. You better watch out. You know what I mean? Like we will never straight say to your face. And that's what I loved about New York and I really love about France is they're like, they do not sugarcoat things here. When I moved to New York, they're like, fuck you. And I'm like, oh, at least I know where they stand, right? I mean, no one really ever said that to my face. I don't, probably, maybe on the subway. Like, it's just, it's just like, it's none of this like, now I don't necessarily want a world where everyone is just mean to each other, but directness rather than, and even here in France, French people have pointed this out to me, people who know U.S. Americans well. And I remember I went to like, it was like a party or whatever. And one of the French guys, a black French guy, of course, because he understands the whiteness part especially, was like, you're real uncomfortable right now, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, we don't really do this. They were having they have arguments all the time here around the table, they're just like, they have like heated arguments face to face and continue eating and then they don't cut each other off. And I was like, first of all, my French always makes me kind of like afraid to just jump in because I'm always gonna, especially in a group environment. But like he could tell, I was just like, oh my god, because I'm afraid, where I come from, if you piss off the wrong person, they will literally like, well, you're done, right? So I'm like, oh my god, I get so, I get so anxious and I have to really regulate my nervous system around open conflict because even if I know it's intellectually, it's fine. These people love each other. They are just disagreeing and that's fine. My nervous system that comes from this silent, violent environment is like, oh God, what's happening? What's happening? And so I love it. I love it. Like, I mean, and even Anthony, he was like, I just want to debate sometimes. And I'm like, I know that's part of your culture, but you need to understand my culture. I was like, you've been to my home. He's like, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, but still, so I'm trying to like learn to be more comfortable with like debate because I just get it. I'm very new to it in a way that doesn't feel like we are ending a friendship right now because we don't. I'm not saying that I don't have debates with people back in the US. I'm just saying fear of open conflict. If you are a white woman like me, and especially if you grew up in a home like that or in a region like that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That silent violence, the poker face. Me and my sister call it the smiling bulldozer. One of the most liberating things in my life is learning is to sit with the discomfort of conflict and my own, instead of trying to fix things and have people shut up and just being like, okay, like this is an inside job. That's why you can read all the anti-racism material. You can do all the things on the checklist, but if you're not dealing with in here, you're still gonna do things that go against who you're trying to be. We have to work on this too. We have to work on the collective indoctrination of us and everything we've been taught and unlearn all of that. And it's going to take a long time and you're going to find a new whack-a-mole one that's like, oh my God. And we have to do the hard inner work. That's the personal journey too. And if we're not doing both at the same time, well, we see what's happening. The whole world The whole world is terrified right now. And if they're not, they should be. The largest military on the planet, and the codes to the nuclear, and the person, like the economy of the, like every area, the climate. I mean, my God. I don't mean to sound catastrophize here. I'm just saying there is, like, get to work. Get on board. We gotta get on board. Clearly, we waited too long, you know? And when stuff goes down really bad and you're not working on this and building community with people who are working on this, other white women who are deconstructing, right? And it's gonna be messy. But God, because we can't rely on Black women to save us and, you know, hold us. It's just more racism of us expecting that. And we're not safe deconstructing just anywhere. Pay. White woman whisperer, delusional influencer, Desiree. I'm going to put some screenshots up in a minute. Pay them, follow their work, and shut up. You know, like in the beginning, until you can figure out how to manage the reactions. Because that fear of being told what we don't want to hear, oh God. I mean, still, I have to be like, okay, take a deep breath. Don't say something. Like, don't say anything. Your life is not in danger. You know what I mean? This is, I'm telling you, oh God. And we always want to jump to the no, but, and then we end up doing more harm. So you will learn all of that about how to deal with all that from women who, thank God, they are helping us. But God, I can't imagine showing up to work with men every day, hanging out with a bunch of bears and wondering which one of them is trying to eat me today. Because even though they really want to change, it's a long, hard work and they could be triggered. You know what I mean? I can't imagine. That's why I'm like, don't just follow them, pay them. Pay them. Pay them. The trauma they're enduring by dealing with dysregulated nervous systems and bearism inside of us is, it should not be done for free. All right, so back to the, again, I mean, I know a White Woman Whisperer has like a whole playlist about this list. So I'm just like doing some cliff notes here. Individualism, that's what, like, I'm not one of them. I want to wear a bracelet. I'm not one of them. That's part of that. I'm the only one, right? That's more of that. Progress is bigger, more, right? Like, it's never enough. Always, like, we don't know how to sit in peace. We don't know how to be, it's, whatever. That's I could spend hours on this list. Objectivity and right to comfort. And that's what we're doing right now. That's exactly what we're doing right now, especially women who did vote for Kamala want to be comforted by Black women. He's so annoyed with me talking right now. To assure them, and you know, I'm okay, right? That's what, you know, that's why it's like, okay, just sit with it. Sit with it. It feels awful. So, you know, again, I had this comment so many times, and some people I had to block permanently because they were so violent in the comments. And I'm like, you're not ready to be here without being threatening to everybody. But this idea that, like, we shouldn't feel guilty because we voted for Kamala. Yes, we should. Just because you did the right thing doesn't mean that we shouldn't sit with this. Because even if we did the right thing one time or every election day, what else are we doing? What else are we doing? Is that it? You know? And, you know, just voting is not enough. It's never been enough. It's important, clearly, but it's never been enough. We have to do this inner work and this collective work every day. Every day. And we love the expediency, right? We can be so impatient. That's another reason why our movements never go anywhere. Besides them being very self-serving and focused on women too much, and rather than like liberation for everyone. We also like, you have so many trends, god, every time it's like clockwork. We're so predictable, the same way men are so predictable. We're so predictable. I swear, I wouldn't be surprised if black women predicted that we'd do something stupid like these bracelets. They're like, when are they gonna do the thing where they're like, where she comes out and is like, it wasn't me, okay? Like, they know her. The same way we know men better than men know themselves. I understand myself. I learn about myself more from black women than anybody. I will never know myself as well as the people who have to survive my people. And men hate it when I say that to them. Like, that's why men are like, men should, help men, and they should. But you also should pay a woman to help you on some of this stuff, because y'all don't know yourselves as much as we know you. We sleep with you. We clean, you know what I mean? Like, we know that you don't wipe your butt and that your underwear is full of skid marks. We know that you do this out into the community, and then as soon as you shut the door, you're a moody little king baby that the kids are terrified of. And like, we know men better than anybody, especially like if we're married to them or dating them or they're our dad. We know these men more than they know themselves and more than anybody else, because we have to survive them. So that's why I'm telling you, I can help you a little bit in terms of how I've been deconstructing this stuff, and I can infuse it into my TV breakdowns and my codependency talks and my storytelling. But I'm not doing this, like, I'm doing this right now because it seems like a lot of white women don't know what to do. So I'm trying to help us get on board. But I'm not the person to teach this, because I still don't know us as much as the people we harm know us. So before I forget, white woman whisperer. Not only is she full of knowledge and compassion, and she's hilarious. She's so funny. Follow her Patreon. Even has a free tier for people who can't afford it. But if you say you can't afford it, I really want you to think about how you spend your money and how important this work is to you. Because I promise you, every time I say I can't afford something, I look at my subscriptions and I'm paying into, I pay for Max, like, I don't even know, $20 now. I haven't watched it. Like, I'm not saying I review movies for a living. I have to keep some of these subscriptions. But when I start seeing how I spend my money, I'm like, you know what? I'm a hypocrite. This is her TikTok. And if you follow her, do not talk for a while. Just listen. Delusional influencer. So I'm going to tag them both. They're both on YouTube, but these are TikToks. Delusional influencer has something called the empathy scorecard. I highly suggest that you download that, because and Claire, one of my patrons, mentioned this, and so this is why I wanted to do this video. Empathy scorecard. She works with white women for a living, especially in corporate. She understands that just like men, our problem is not just, and it's not just white women, because the thing is, this is our conditioning under whiteness, white supremacy culture, capitalism, and especially surviving the United States, where it's like that individualism and capitalism is so strong. Empathy, like, men don't empathize with us. They don't empathize with themselves, but they definitely don't empathize with us, because look what they did too. They consistently show up to screw us over, right? So this scorecard is for literally anyone who follows me. I don't know, maybe later on. I mentioned this like a year ago. Hey, here's a scorecard. I suggest this. And you know how many white women were in my comments being like, why do I'm like, come on, y'all. Can you just listen? I know where that reaction is coming from. Obviously, I just went over the list. But right now is the moment to just, every time you feel really triggered, probably don't say anything, because you're going to say something you're going to regret. and then you're going to double down, and then you're going to get blocked in people's comments, maybe even mine. Just go write in your journal. White Women Whisper talks about that all the time. Desiree, Portia Noir. This is Desiree right here. Desiree actually has a whole community that you can be a part of, like online. And she helps white women do this on a very personal level, because so much of our trauma, especially from our family, and the violence of whiteness, we then reenact. So we don't break the cycle of violence. We just take it out on Black people especially, but we take it out on anyone we have power over. And so I don't know, this is just the beginning of my list, okay? But y'all keep asking for a list, so here's a little list, because I don't want to overwhelm you with too much, because then I know you won't do anything. When I'm overwhelmed with too much information, I'm like, I don't know where to start, so I do nothing. Maybe that's ADHD, maybe that's just humanity or whatever. So here's somewhere to start. And if you don't want to get a whole book yet, because maybe you're overwhelmed, start with articles. This one right here, How White Women Use Themselves as Instruments of Terror. I mean, this is just one article, but this is a great little summary. And I can do a whole video on this. I don't want to throw too much in this video. It's already too long because I talk too much. I'm long-winded. Y'all know that by now. That's why I said in that video yesterday that this vote was so violent. We don't understand our violence. We think that men are so violent. We are very violent. We are so violent. And when I talk about how men, even if they're not violent, they will unalive us slowly through our nervous system, because of their moods, because of their like little aggressions here and there, because of just putting so much labor on us. We do this too. This is what we do. I've never worked in corporate, but from what I understand, that white women in corporate are ruthless. So violent. I did work in the boys clubs and, the outdoor industry and comedy and film industry, but the outdoor industry, there's some of us who are like the cool girl, and boy, man, I mean, and I just say from my own experience, I've talked about this a lot, but if you can't beat them, join them, right? So there was a while where, I was like, my jokes were just so crude, because I wanted the men to accept me. They were like, oh, are you a feminist? You're not one of them, are you? And I was like, oh, crap. These are my coworkers. I don't know anyone in this town. So these are my friends and my coworkers. So I guess I'll just be this to survive this environment. And I hated myself so much because I knew I was performing. I didn't really know, I knew. I maybe not have been able to say those words like, I am abandoning myself. I am performing in order to have access to power so that I can survive this system. I probably didn't think that thought, but I just remember being like, this feels gross. Anyway, I don't know if this is helpful. But right now, we really need to empathize with the fact that a lot of people feel betrayed by us. It doesn't matter how you voted. I mean, if you didn't vote, or if you voted for anyone but Kamala, yeah, you're probably having a really hard time sitting with yourself right now. Or maybe you're not, and you're like, whatever, I don't endorse genocide. Neither do I. That's what I kept trying to say. I don't endorse it either. But now, have you seen what's going on over there now? It's going to get so much worse now. That's why I was so frustrated that's why I kept trying to, anytime people said that in my comments, I'm like, no, that's not how it works. I'm not endorsing. It's like, come on. See, this is what we do. See, if you're not out in this one thing, then you're bad and you're one of them. And it's like, no. Anyway, we have a lot of people mad at us right now. They have every right to be mad at us. Please stop trying to defend yourself and be like, but I'm not. We are. We're a part of the group that enabled one of the most frightening things that could have happened. And we just have to sit with it. Just sit with it. Another comment song with Sleeping Mo's. If you're new here, the comment song is where I show some random stuff so that you can tap a comment and let me know your thoughts. I know this was a hard topic for the comment song, but I don't know. Seems pretty important. No. Anyway, yeah. Look at him sleeping. Look at them. I don't even... it feels like weird singing after a video like that. Anyway, sleeping dog. Everybody take a break, regulate your nervous system, then get to work. Sleeping dog, sleeping dog, sleeping dog moans. Feeling sorry for ourselves or thinking there's nothing to do isn't gonna work. Get on board and free yourself from the system that makes you hate yourself. Anyway. That's the comment song for today. Oh, sorry, that's a terrible song, but et voila. Et voila.